Hello, Dawgpound South campers. This is the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Ills Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill. Well, here we are, day three of the draft, day three of doing another podcast to review and to look forward to day three. Okay, let's review what happened. I'm sorry. I just love it when Browns social media all their heads explode at the same time. I don't know why I enjoy it. I think it's funny. Joe Thomas said on Friday on Cleveland Browns Daily, the objective is not to win the draft, it's to win football games. And I agree with that statement. I also really think it's funny that just because somebody won their fantasy draft, they think they can be a GM in the NFL. Guess what? Probably the only thing you could ever do with an NFL team is become an unpaid intern, and they would tell you not to open your mouth and speak. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Let's look at what happened. As many of you know, I like to listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 because of two reasons. I enjoy the host, especially Nathan Zagura, and they are conducting their studio is actually in Berea. They see everybody walking by. They have a window, hallway, so they see the players. They see coaches. They see front office people. And Nathan Zagura is paid by the Cleveland Browns because he works on their radio broadcast. So I listen to them because they can leave hints. Now, I know that Nathan Zagura was big on getting a quarterback first round. Especially he loved Sanders. Knew Cam Ward wouldn't be available, and he loved Sanders. I respect his opinion. That's his opinion. I don't have to agree with it. My opinion was he's not a very good quarterback. And so far, 32 teams have proven that through 3 rounds of the NFL draft. But on the other side, selecting a quarterback in the NFL draft is just a crapshoot. It really is a crapshoot. I mean, you could just throw the dice. I mean, look at the 49ers. They get Brock Purdy on the very last pick of the draft, and boom, he's their starting quarterback. Lamar Jackson, when he came out, all the NFL so-called front office smart people told him he should play wide receiver. How'd that work out? And Patrick Mahomes, they didn't think he'd be a good quarterback because at the time he was a quarterback in the Big 12 and all they did was play out of the shotgun. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't remember. Patrick Mahomes sat his rookie year. He sat his entire year. So the Kansas City Chiefs could teach him how to be an NFL quarterback. Everybody forgets about that. So let's look what happened day 2. I know a lot of people are upset about and don't understand the pick of Schlesinger. But I was listening, like I said, to Cleveland Browns Daily, and they had Dane Bugler on, who I love, knows more about draftable players than anybody. Nathan Zagura asked, one of his last questions was, what if the Browns know that JOK isn't going to play this season? They know he's not going to play. Which linebackers, he did plural, in this draft would be the best fit if JOK doesn't play? And you know who he said? UCLA, Schlesinger. That's who he said. The only guy he mentioned. He said he really pops out on the film. He makes plays. He's a tackling machine. Okay, I'm in. A lot of people forget how everybody complains. Their first 2 picks were defense. Everybody complains that, no offense. There's no offense. Everybody forgets how bad of a run defense the Browns had last year. Over 2,200 yards rushing, 4.5 yards a carry they gave up, and 22 rushing touchdowns, which I think is a Browns record. They were giving up over 130 yards rushing per game. Yes, they were just as bad at stopping the run as they were on offense. Now you can point to what happened on offense. I don't go solely by statistics. I go by situations and circumstances. And the situations were they didn't have a quarterback. And they didn't have an offensive line. The offensive line didn't come together until Mike Vrabel took over. And even then, not all of them were on board. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Wyatt Teller. So situation, circumstances. So I agree with this pick. Was it a little early? Yeah, but he was the best linebacker on the board. And he fits what they want to do on defense. And he can take the place of JOK. What's wrong with that? Second pick, Quinton Judkins. Love this pick. Perfect pick. Everybody wanted Trayvon Henderson, and I like Trayvon Henderson, but he does have an injury history. He's not as fast as Judkins. Judkins is perfect for a wide zone offense. He is. So that was a no-brainer. Next pick, Harold Fannin. I've already had him. I had him on a couple of my mock drafts. He over 1555 in passing yardage, which was a little over half of the passing yardage for the year at Bowling Green. So what do you think he's going to do? He's going to catch the ball. That's what he's going to do. And he's a perfect number two tight end. You bring Whitehurst back to be the blocking tight end. Boom. You got it. There you go. You put somebody on the practice squad. So I'm not worried about that. Then comes the fourth pick, which everybody, oh my gosh, all the so-called social media experts, all you heard was he sucks. He's too short. He's 5'11". All right. It was a head scratcher, and after doing further work on it this morning and taking a look at a few things like pre-draft analysis by people I trust. First of all, everybody quotes Mel Kiper, and everybody thinks Mel Kiper. Well, if you like Mel Kiper, Dylan Gabriel was one of his sleepers in this draft. I went back and read some stuff. Also, I read another analysis of him that he, and this is something you need to know, started 60 games, which is a new FBS record. I think the old record was held by Bo Nix. And he also set the FBS record for touchdowns, 179 touchdowns. So he's played a lot of games, and he's scored a lot of touchdowns. His some other stuff I read, his eyes and his feet are in sync. Big knock on Sanders and Milroe was lousy footwork, which Milroe did improve on as the process went forward. So gets rid of the ball very quickly, has a strong arm, accurate. At one point during the season, he led the entire country quarterbacks in college football in accuracy, in throwing percentage. So the too short thing, he won't be able to throw of his offensive linemen. Well, he threw over and a left tackle got taken in the first round. He had weapons. Tez Johnson comes to mind. And the tight end, who already has been drafted. So Terrence Ferguson was drafted last night. So, accuracy, gets through his reads quickly, makes good decisions. Remember that comment from our new offensive coordinator, Tommy Reese? We want to find a guy who makes good decisions and the correct decision. And he wins. Let's face facts. A lot of people are going to base their opinion on what he did against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Situations, circumstances. When the Buckeyes went out to Oregon, he killed them. He killed them. Situations, circumstances. After the Michigan game, where Ohio State just got humiliated because they couldn't run a ball against the best run defense in the Big Ten, featuring Mason Graham, they reassessed the situation, looked at the circumstances, and dedicated themselves to winning a national championship. And they did it. They got on a run. They beat good defense in Texas. They beat a very good offense in Oregon. But just remember, go back and look at that first Oregon-Ohio State game. I went back and looked at a few of the things. Kid was great, accurate, got rid of the ball, abused the Ohio State secondary, which I thought was very good. And they were creative in their play calling. So all he does is win. Now, you may not like it. He could end up being a career backup for 10 years. What's wrong with that? So you're not going to find a franchise quarterback in an average quarterback draft. And that's what this is. I think the NFL teams, including Cleveland Browns, are telling all the fans out there, which I have been telling people since day one, this is an average quarterback draft. But everybody allows the media to groupthink you into believing one of these guys is going to be a franchise quarterback. I don't even think Cam Ward is a franchise quarterback. He has problems. Let's just say that. Terrible footwork, throws off his back leg, and those 17 fumbles really bother me. And he played at 3 different schools. I know the situation with COVID, NIL money. The year before he went to Miami, and the Browns knew this because they get ready for it takes them a year. They take a year and a half to get ready for a draft. When he was at Washington State, he was rated no better than a 5th-round draft pick. What changed in a year? That doesn't concern you that all of a sudden this guy goes from a 5th-round draft pick to a number 1 draft pick? That concerns me. So, bad quarterback draft. Every NFL team is telling you what they think of this quarterback draft. I think Giants overreached on Dart. I mean, who were they trying to get in front of on that trade? And they'd set up that trade before the draft even started. And that made no sense. So let's take a break here. I've yammered on and on too long. And take a look at what's going on today. So we'll be right back. Just quick little break. Just want to mention Hemisphere Coffee. They shake the hands of the farmer who grows the beans. That's very important. Like I said, I used to own a coffee shop, and I trust my roaster because he knows where he gets his beans from. He has created a network in his imports to know who he's getting good coffee from. And that good coffee, those good coffee beans translates to good coffee. This is what Hemisphere Coffee does. All right, let's look at today. So they got 3 picks. What is it? They've got 126 round 4, 166 round 5, 192 round 6. Will they make any trades? Well, usually if you're going to trade a veteran player, day 3 is a good time to do it. So just keep that in mind. They may not trade any players. And of course, the 2 big names are Okoronkwo and Newsome. Newsome, I don't know. He's in his last year. Emerson's in his last year. So I don't know about him. Okoronkwo, yes, his contract is small, which makes him is manageable, which makes him good trade bait. But they got to find somebody to replace him. So he could be a possibility. He really didn't live up to his contract last year. And that's what it is. It's about value. So my priorities, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, and I am not, would be 2 major priorities: wide receiver, offensive tackle. Other priorities, maybe an edge. They got 3 picks, a safety. I've been hammering on about a safety since before this process started. I know they've had a lot of defensive backs into Berea before the draft, veterans. I cannot find out who came in. Can't find out if there's corners or safeties. Nobody knows. Then they are buttoned up on that position. But I know they've talked to them. Don't know of any contracts, don't know of any agreements, but they are going through veteran corner defensive backs. That's what my person tells me all the time. They've had defensive backs in. So it could be safeties, could be corners. So don't know, but I would feel a lot better if they signed a veteran and drafted a safety. This is not a great safety draft, but still, it wouldn't hurt. It would not hurt to have another safety to compete with Ronnie Hickman, who I'm not that high on as everybody else is. So, and a corner. This isn't a very good corner draft either. We saw a lot of them go yesterday. A lot of corners came off the board. There was no real big run. There was a mini run in defensive lineman in round 2, which makes sense. So who? Jalen Royal, Utah State. I had him in one of my mocks. Xavier Retripo, sorry. Miami. Everybody was talking about him when Cam Ward did his pro day down at Miami. Fast, super fast. Not the greatest route runner in the world, but he's super fast. So those are 2 guys to watch. Tackles. Cameron Williams of Texas, Jack Nelson, Wisconsin. I had him in my final mock draft going day 3. I like him. He could come in, get on the practice squad, and develop into a very good tackle. Edges. Brady Swinson from LSU is still out there. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. You know, that shows you how much the draft experts know. They had him going to Detroit in the 2nd round, and he's still available. I would not be upset if they drafted Jack Sawyer. Everybody thinks either Detroit or Cincinnati. I'd be perfectly happy if they grabbed him. Safety, Latham Ransom. I like Latham Ransom. I always have. I had him in one of my mocks at safety. And also Sebastian Castro from Iowa. You remember this kid? I mean, he'd make plays all over the field against Ohio State. That's the only time I didn't watch Iowa games. I watched Ohio State versus Iowa. He would make plays. Corners. Zy Alexander of LSU, who I saw a lot of being in SEC, and Mello Dotson of Kansas. I had him in one of my mock drafts. Really like this kid. So those are some names that I think you should keep an eye on for today's draft. But they do have 2 main positions they have to address today. Offensive tackle, wide receiver. Have to. Before you go into the defense, you've got to get a wide receiver and a tackle. I have heard that that's going to be their priority today. So I would agree with that 100%. So then comes the undrafted rookie free agents, which no one will ever admit that Andrew Berry is very good at. But he always finds some gems. He finds 2 guys a year, every year. And the reason he does that is after his last pick, he starts calling players that he thinks are going to be undrafted rookie free agents. He talks to them, tells them the Browns are interested. If they go undrafted, think of the Browns. We'll call you as soon as the draft's over. Just, they call the agent, they call the player, and they just talk to him, which is fine. They can do that. They're draftable players. All right. So that does it for today. Hopefully I'll be on later during the draft. Don't know yet. Wait to find out. So this has been the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. As always, I want to thank you for watching, listening, following, and subscribing here at Fanatical Elves Network. We appreciate that very much because, we're Browns fans just like you. Everybody enjoy day 3 of the draft.